Good morning, YouTube. It's kind of an icky day out there today, and in the last 3-4 days, we've had two winter storm warnings, which turned out to be nothing around this particular area, but some of the outlying areas had 4 to 6 inches of snow. Power was out in parts of the Coast Range. Around here, nothing, but it got me to thinking, what do you do when the power goes out? What do you do for light? When the power goes out, of course, you have a couple of different worries. How do you keep the food in the refrigerator from spoiling, and how do you get heat? But I won't address those issues. Let's talk more about lights. Now, everybody's saying, well, hey, dummy, you go get a generator. The problem with a generator is you need fuel for a generator. And if you say you live in an apartment, and I don't, I have my own house, but let's say you live in an apartment, I'm sure that your landlord is not going to take kindly to having you running a generator on your balcony during a power outage, and for that matter, storing the fuel that you need for the generator in your apartment or out on your balcony. It's a fire hazard. So not having a generator is not the be-all end-all of your emergency preparations for a power outage, especially if it's a long-duration power outage. Ask the people who lived in New Orleans during Katrina. Ask the people who live in Florida after Irene, and even ask the people who live in Puerto Rico. If your power's out for weeks, you're going to have trouble fueling up your generator. After Irene went through Florida, certain people in South Florida were reporting the gasolines were out of gas. There was no gasoline to be available for nearly a week. People were running out of generator fuel because they weren't managing their fuel, or they didn't have enough stored up, an emergency reserve. And so we're finding out the generators aren't the be-all, end-all. And so what I wanted to look at here was just a few things that could be used to give yourself some light during light. I'm just talking about lights, keeping lights on. So, we don't realize just how much we depend upon light, being able to walk into a room, flip a light switch, and have light. And then until it's gone, and then you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So everything that I've got here, and if you want to spend a lot of money, there are some solutions out there, but I'm trying to do this on a budget. I'm trying to do this, on a practical point, so that everything I use here is usable either on daily use or for camping. We go camping once a year. We do a week-long camping trip, and we use a lot of the stuff I'm going to show you is used both for daily use and for that camping trip. And I'll talk about a few other things later. So let's just dip this thing down and take a look. First off, every single power company and emergency preparedness agency will tell you that you need to have let's zoom this out a little bit, need to have a flashlight and a supply of extra batteries. Now, granted, flashlight, you're going to use this on a daily use item. We use this every day. Everybody in the house has at least 2 flashlights like this. They're cheap, they're effective, they work. Everybody needs a flashlight. The only problem is on these is they run on AAA batteries, which are not known for their long life. However, we take these, like I said, I take one of these with me on the week-long camping trip, and at the end of the camping trip, the batteries are still great, the light is still bright, and no complaints. But in an emergency situation, in an SHTF situation, You are going to run through your batteries, you're going to run through your reserve, and it's not a very bright flashlight, so what are you going to do? This is a daily use item. It is one of these little tap lights. I keep this on my nightstand so that in the middle of the night, if I wake up, I don't have to turn on the main room light. It runs on AA batteries, which last a lot longer, and a light with AA batteries in it, of course, is going to be, it can be designed to be brighter and difficult to reattach the battery cover. Just keeping a few of these sitting around in the various rooms of your house means you don't have to use this as much. It's a useful item to have. If, however, you need a brighter flashlight, you need a brighter, right? You need a bigger flashlight, one that runs on bigger batteries. These, of course, will last. This one uses 3 C batteries. These will last longer than the batteries, a lot longer than the batteries in this. It's also a flashlight that can run brighter, so if you need a lot of light, you've got it. But it uses disposable batteries. And eventually, in a real emergency situation where the power's out for even weeks at a time, it can happen, you're going to eventually run out of batteries. And then what are you going to do? Well, rechargeable batteries, yeah, that's a possibility. But perhaps this. This is a bright little flashlight, very bright, that is rechargeable. Take that up there and have you take a look at it. It's basically a power cell with a 3,000 milliampere power cell with a flashlight head on it. You see, it occurred to me that the USB, in fact the micro USB, is ubiquitous in charging non-iPhone cell phones. I need my glasses on for this. Right? They're used everywhere. And everybody has cell phone chargers, right? And you can even get a cell phone charger for your car. So, that means using equipment that you already have, you can keep this thing charged on a daily basis. When you have utility power, you can use your cell phone charger. And in an emergency situation, you can recharge it from your vehicle battery using this. How awesome is that? Now, the only problem I have with this is, see, I bought this about 3.5 years ago, and when I went searching for USB rechargeable flashlights on Amazon, I didn't get a whole lot of hits. Today, if you do that, you're going to get like 200 hits. So the problem with this is that it has but a single brightness level, very bright and off, right? Also, the ports are not protected. Most flashlights these days have a cover over these to protect the ports, so we take care of that with the cap from a teriyaki sauce bottle. It's only silly if it doesn't work. So let's put that up there, let's put that up there, let's put that up there. This goes up there. Now, using this flashlight, and by the way, if you put this thing on its tail and turn it on in a room and point it to the ceiling, it will really light up a room. But I think the runtime on this, I haven't completely tested it, is only 6 hours. And then what do? Well, like I said, you got to go recharge it, but you could also get one of these. This is a power cell. In this case, it's a 12,000 milliamp hour. You really don't want to get a power cell bigger than this. And the reason is that it is the largest practical cell, 12,000 milliamp hours, that can be charged with a micro USB and a 10-watt charger. It takes nearly 8 hours to charge it from this in the vehicle, and even off a wall charger. So, 10,000 milliampere hour battery, 12,000 milliampere hour power bank. In fact, I own two of these so that when one is being recharged, I have the use of the other one. Take them camping all the time, and what I do is I actually plug it into the vehicle, into my cigarette lighter through this setup at night, and in the morning it's fully charged. But the point is, while it's recharging, you don't have the use of it, so a second one is useful. And you can recharge not just your cell phone, but recharge your lights. And you can also recharge, well, you don't want to recharge because this thing you don't recharge. But this is a light bulb, of course, and it has a USB port, which means we can plug it into the power bank, turn on the power bank, and I'm going to cover this with my hand because it is very bright. You can see that it's very bright. But the thing is that it is dimmable, which means that by dimming it, you can control the amount of power that you're using, and by choosing your brightness level, you can choose how long your power bank lasts. Turn that off. It's also the rechargeable one is the one that the dimmable one is the one we prefer to take with us camping because, let's face it, when you're camping, you don't want a big bright light. You, particularly when you're getting ready for bed, and you just kind of want to wind down, having a dimmer light as opposed to a bright light. I have another one of these, but it is strictly on and off, and on is very bright. And so I bring it with me camping as a backup, but this is my primary one. And I promised an unboxing. This is something we recently acquired. Let's see. Get this right side up to you. I don't know which end is up or down on this video. It is a solar mobile charger with cell phone. That is not what it says. Camping lantern with solar mobile charger. Promised an unboxing. And the first thing we find is, of course, the ubiquitous micro USB charging cable. Put that over there. And the lantern itself. It has a solar cell on the bottom of it. This is actually the bottom. You can tell by the feet. But according to the specs, the solar cell only puts out about, it doesn't say, solar charge. It says the runtime, low brightness lighting time after 1 hour charging under sunlight, only 30 minutes. Whereas the runtime with brightness after a full charge is 5 hours. So the solar is basically more of a last ditch resort on this, and probably not totally practical. It does have let's just play with it. It does have a micro USB input so that we can plug it into our power bank. Turn on the power bank and the red light indicates it's charging. And the power bank it didn't turn off. Or, on the other hand, we could potentially take power off of it. I shouldn't have put the cap on this. Come on. There it goes. And potentially we can charge up. Yeah, we can charge up the little flashlight as well. However, keep in mind the battery capacities. 300 milliamp hours, 800 milliamp hours. This thing can totally drain and not even put more than a few minutes worth of, maybe a half hour worth of runtime on this. So using it as an emergency power source, last ditch effort. Just trying to keep this thing charged up. And let me see, we haven't turned this thing on yet, have we? It's bright. It's even brighter. It'll flash. This is supposed to be SOS, but it's not. And it did say it was a lantern, and believe it or not, it really is. If you can get it open, that's the one problem with this I found, is that getting this thing to open up is a bit of a, there we go. And I'm kind of concerned about the durability of this. I have a feeling that after a few times opening and closing it, this is going to crack, in which case I'm going to have to figure out something else to put over it to, and let me just turn that on so you can see it's in its lantern mode. Right. There we go. It also has a hook, and this is the reason I actually bought this, is to use it as a hanging lantern inside of our tents when we go camping. I actually bought 2 of these. But you can see that it is potentially useful, again, in a power outage situation to provide light. Turn it off and put it back away. Crunch. I'm just going to leave that there. So, I mentioned the car charger. Well, we got battery banks, we got flashlights, we got these, and I've got 2 of these, but I'm only showing you one, and I've got 2 of these. You need a lot of more USB ports than 2. So I've got this. Let me move some of this stuff around. This fits in a cup holder in the car. It has 2 high-power USB ports and 2 more, by the way, plugs into the cigarette lighter, and it has 2 cigarette lighter plugs, and if I plug this into there, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 USB ports for charging stuff up. There. Now, I've got stuff out of the screen here. Let's pull this down a little bit so you can still look at it. So what we've got here, we've got charging system to charge up power banks, lanterns, flashlights, rechargeable flashlights. Power cell can run, light bulbs. But we're basically just kicking the can down the road here, because eventually we're just recharging everything off the car battery. And then you have to ask yourself, well, that's great. How long can you do that? Well, I did some calculations and figured that this can be recharged about 23 times off of a car battery. And if I recharge it once a day, that gives me about 2 to 3 weeks before the vehicle battery is completely depleted. Obviously, I can turn the car on and run it for a little while to charge the battery. But how long can you do that until you run out of gas? And the gasoline in your gas tank may be useful for other things like running in a multi-fuel stove so that you can cook your food and eat. So, not the best use of the fuel that you have available. So, for that, however, one of the things I'm going to pick up here, not in the not too distant future, is a solar panel. Probably get a 100 watt solar panel with a charge controller, which you can pick up for less than $150, about 100 to 150 bucks, that you can connect directly to your battery and keep your car battery charged up. The other thing is to get one of these folding 24 volt, what am I saying? A folding solar panel, a portable thing, that unfolds to about the length of this mat here that I'm using. And you want to get yourself about a 25 watt panel. You don't want to mess around with a 10 or 15 watt panel. They won't do you justice. A 25 watt panel will certainly charge this thing up. You'll need full sun to charge this up, but while that's charging, you can use your other power cell. Remember, I said I have two. And if you're living in an apartment, you're more likely to be able to set up a solar panel on your balcony than you are to set up a gas generator. Camping, certainly a solar panel, a portable solar panel is much preferred over a gas generator. In many places, you can't even bring a generator. And in our case, we go car camping, and trying to pack a generator would be kind of a ludicrous situation anyway. So that's basically it. What you end up with is a nice little 5-volt system of rechargeable lanterns, light bulbs, rechargeable flashlights, and a power bank to keep everything charged or to run the lights. The only other thing that I'm looking at is if you do a search on Google for lithium-ion rechargeable work lights, you can buy some job site work lights for between $25 and well over $100. Look for ones that have 12-volt chargers on them, so you can recharge them from your cigarette lighter, which means you can recharge them from this thing. Hope you find this all useful. Subscribe, like, share if you think this is useful to anybody besides me. Take care and be ready.